Paso. This is Isaac Olmos with Olmos Real Estate Group, powered by Maured. You're going to have to forgive me today. It's going to be a long video, but it's going to be worth it. Okay, everybody's heard and is talking about skyrocketing residential CAD values. So I wanted to give you guys a breakdown on how they work, the main variables affecting those values, and what you can do about it. Well, to begin, EPCAD runs what we call a radial comparable market analysis, which I'll just refer to as a CMA for simplification. So they drop a pin, they draw a 1 mile radius around that pin, and then they average the home prices in that area to come up with the value. Now let me explain the problem with this method. We've all heard of the term the other side of the train tracks, or maybe if you're a little bit younger you haven't, but what it means is that the other side is not so nice. So homes on this side are no bueno, homes on this side are bueno. But they're being compared to as similar in value regardless, causing discrepancies in the true market value. Now this line doesn't necessarily need to represent a set of train tracks, it can be a street. That being said, that the street doesn't even have to be a straight line, it can be contoured like a regular street. Okay? It can also be consistent of two streets. Okay, only a seasoned and a competent agent will know where these borders are and how to stay in an equally comparable area. This is one of the reasons why it's important that your realtor has an intimate understanding of local geography when they're pricing out your home. But then of course we can make adjustments for pools, large lots, or even refrigerated air units, but I don't want to keep you guys too long, so I won't get into that quite yet. Okay, now that there's a little insight as to how EPCAD comes up with these values, let me give you some pointers on how to combat them and minimize the hurt. So to begin, look at the small spreadsheet. Okay, on the first page of the notice to appraised value you received, if you notice in the far right column, 5 rows down in the spreadsheet, there's a number for market value. And 2 more rows down in bold numbers is your appraised value. This is the number that the county uses for taxing purposes. If you have a homestead exemption, there should be a gap between these two numbers. Sorry investors, no exemptions for you. So let me go ahead and explain that gap. Starting with the baseline of last year's settled valuation. Okay, market conditions corroborated by the Texas index have increased by 19.6%, and they have exceeded the 10% cap rate. Homestead exemptions come with a 10% cap, meaning that they can't exceed that 10% increase from the previous year's value of the baseline that we were just discussing. One of the few laws that actually succeed in protecting consumers. So all of this being said, one of the main ways that you can minimize your taxes is by applying all of your exemptions. So if you look at the very last row in that same column of this year, you notice a bar with 4 types of exemptions. There's going to be disabled veteran, disabled person, homestead, and over 65. Just verify the acronyms on that last row under this year's column to make sure that all your applicable exemptions have been applied. If you'd like further explanation of the exemptions, on the back of page 1 are some brief descriptions. Okay, so moving on. Our appraised value, the one in bold, is the value under contestation. Okay? Not the market value. So pay attention to the right number and don't let the market value scare you. In order for us to gain anything out of the appraisal dispute, we have to not only close the gap between the market value and what was capped off at, but we have to also exceed that because this is the appraised value. This is what they're going to be taxing against. As I mentioned earlier, only a direct analysis on the home will be able to determine if we're able to do that. This is one of the reasons that I'm offering help, but I'm going to be honest. I've been running a lot of CMAs for previous clients, and there are some places where the cap is doing its job at consumer protection, and even the lowest price comps that I was able to produce, they still exceed the appraised value. Meaning we couldn't impact the appraised value, but I believe that every home deserves a chance at being looked at. Okay, so another method that can help at reducing the property's value is by accompanying your dispute with a licensed contractor's quote on how much it would cost to bring your property up to a median price per your locale. But let me warn you, contractors are aware that this is the season, so they are not conducting free estimates at the moment and will most likely charge you. But let's change the atmosphere a little bit, because who likes talking about taxes, right? Unless, of course, it's about paying less. So, on a bright note, I want to congratulate Texas on voting to amend the state constitution with an overwhelming majority of 85% passing Proposition 2, which increases the homestead exemption from 25 to 40K. Who is that other 15% really? It's probably Californians. And it's being retroactively put into place, so it's in effect as of January 1st and will impact this year's taxes. So be on the lookout when your bills come out in October. Well, Pastor, I want to thank you again for watching. If there's absolutely anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Rain or shine. Once again, I'm Isaac Olmos in the Olmos Real Estate Group, powered by Mareg. I look forward to hearing from you and have a great week.